I want to know what the fuck is going on in the universe right now.
I don't have an answer for you.
This shit is crazy.
I don't have an answer for you. I don't know what to say.
No. Does anyone out there have an answer? Welcome back to the Ghosty Girls, and we'd love to know what the fuck is going on. I'm Alicia, by the way.
Yeah, I'm Christina. I will refrain from popping off because I promised you that I would not.
Thank you.
And I'm going to respect that, but I will say that we have a real problem in America. And I'm going to leave it at that.
That's all you're going to say? I'm shooketh.
I promised you that I wouldn't pop off on it. I have lots and lots of thoughts. So to our friends in other countries, no, we are not okay. We're just doing what we can. To survive. We're doing what we can to pay our bills and to keep food on the table. And some of us can't even fucking do that.
We're trying. We're doing our best.
Yeah. I mean, I know several people right now that have multiple jobs because one job doesn't pay their mortgage anymore.
Right. I have 2 jobs.
That's where we're at.
Yep.
We shouldn't be there.
No.
We shouldn't be there. We're working our lives away.
I know.
For this. And I hate to sound depressing, but I know that a lot of people out there are feeling it too. So just know you're not alone, okay?
We're here for you to talk about.
Yes. And this is an all sides problem.
Yes.
Things just are not good, and we need to figure out how to fucking fix it. Thank you and goodbye.
She's done. That's the end of the episode.
That's the end. I'm not going to shit on anybody's political beliefs or anything, but I mean, I think we can we should be able to all agree from a humanity standpoint that things are not well.
Yeah. I like what you said earlier when we were talking, why are there even borders across this earth? Like, we should be able to go wherever the fuck we want. And that's quoting you directly.
Yes. I don't know.
It's dumb.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, we can't all be the same. I get that. But why
We're
can't we just
human
accept
beings.
each other? Like,
we're all human beings.
Just because you're different than me doesn't make you any better or any less. We are the same. We all bleed green. Right?
Do we? The problem is that not everyone thinks the way you do.
I know.
Some people do think that they are better than others, which is wild to me. It's unfathomable to me to think that someone else matters, or to think that I matter more than anyone else. Because at the end of the day, we're all just stardust.
Fair. We should, I feel like we should start playing a song now.
Ground control to Major Tom. I'm stepping through the door. 4, and I'm 3, floating in a most peculiar way. I love that song. R.I.P. David Bowie. And your bulge in Labyrinth. Which was a sexual awakening for me. Which was very confusing as a child.
Did you know that he actually put a sock in there?
No, I didn't. I thought that was his real ass bulge. Okay.
No, right, I Googled it recently, actually, because that's one of my son's favorite movies.
Did he notice it? Did he say anything?
No.
Okay.
Of course, Jack and I were like...
It's glaringly obvious.
Yeah. It's like, hey, boy, what that pee-pee do? Huh? But it's a sock. Like, he didn't do it in every scene. Like, some of the scenes you can see it's not.
Did he do it just to fuck with people?
Yes.
That's amazing.
I love him even more.
I love that.
I know.
I love that for him. I love that for us.
Yeah.
Wow, we are really digressing.
Are we though?
But
no. We're back, baby. Less depressing. Let's talk about Labyrinth.
Yeah, this episode's about Labyrinth and David Bowie's bulge. That I just learned was apparently a fucking sock.
Well, it might have been big. It might have been small. We don't know. Well, somebody out there knows. Tell us.
Somebody out there knows.
Comment below.
Yeah,
like, subscribe, and comment about David Bowie's dick.
Speaking of dicks, not the literal dick.
The shitty kind? The personal? Wait.
Yeah.
The dick of the person? Wait. Wait.
We're going to talk about
Assholes.
John Wayne Gacy today, part 3.
Oh, crunchy ass fried chicken rotisserie dick shit.
Yeah, this is, episode 3 of the Cursed podcast series.
Listen, that book right there, I know that it's sitting that way to hold that spot, but there's a book of John Wayne Gacy on the table, and I feel like he's staring at me, and I'm very uncomfortable with it.
I can't wait until this is over.
Same.
I'm so over John Wayne Gacy.
I want to punch. I want to literally punch your book to punch him in the face.
Yeah, he's disgusting. He really is. He's really, really disgusting. But, just to recap part 2, we talked about John's release from prison. We talked about his life post-prison, his second marriage, his days of clowning. Remember? Clowning.
What a dick shit.
His first 2 murders, and then the divorce from his second wife. So we've got a lot going on. Big boy has been busy.
I feel like today's going to be a explosive type.
Today's going to be bad.
Kind of like the beginning to the episode.
Yeah.
Very depressing, guys.
Right. And I'm going to tell you, I learned some things in my research for this episode that I did not know about John Wayne Gacy.
What?
I feel like people know a lot about like Jeffrey Dahmer and stuff. Like, yeah, he ate people and like, we all know what he did.
Yeah.
But with John Wayne Gacy, everybody just kind of knows like he was a murderer of boys. We don't really know like how. A lot of people think that he did it in his clown costume, which isn't correct.
Right.
A lot of people don't know how he killed them. They don't know if, they... Was that my cat?
What do you want, baby? Come here.
People don't know if he strangled them, stabbed them. Like, a lot of people don't know the details about John Wayne Gacy. They just know that he was a serial killer, right?
And dressed like a clown.
Yes, exactly.
And looked like a tissy chicken.
A tissy, yeah. But we're going to get into exactly what he did from his own mouth. So buckle up, because it's pretty disturbing. So
I'm out. Goodbye.
No, you stuck. So this brings us up to 1976. John Wayne Gacy is a bachelor again, and he's got absolutely zero intention of slowing down. Okay? He's a fat snowball just rolling down the snowy mountain.
Gross.
On April 16th, 1976, 18-year-old Daryl Sampson from West Virginia was reported missing. His mother, Dolores, was absolutely devastated and received essentially no help from the police. She even later stated that she took to the streets of Chicago herself, tirelessly searching for her beloved son, to the point where she actually gave herself blisters on her feet.
Oh, bless her heart.
Yeah. She was boots on the ground looking for her son because no one would help her. Unbeknownst to her, Daryl had tragically accepted a job offer from John Wayne Gacy. He was lured back to Gacy's house, where he was raped, tortured, and ultimately murdered, and then buried in the infamous crawl space of 8213 West Summerdale Avenue. And remember how we talked about John beginning to stuff objects in the orifices of his victims? He did this with Daryl. His corpse was eventually found in the crawl space with a gag in his mouth. Just weeks after the murder of Daryl Sampson, on May 14th, 1976, Gacy struck again, murdering 2 friends on the same night, 15-year-old Randy Ruffett and 14-year-old Sam Stapleton. Their bodies were then buried side by side in Gacy's crawl space. So now he's committing 2 murders in the same night.
Frenzy.
This is his frenzy era. Yeah, yep. On June 3rd, 1976, less than a month after the double murder of young Randy and Sam, Gacy took the life of 17-year-old Michael Bonin, who was traveling through Chicago to see his uncle. And just 10 days after this murder, John struck again, violently claiming the life of 16-year-old William Carroll, and then, of course, burying him in the crawl space. And it's safe to say that at this point, John Wayne Gacy had reached his frenzy era. During the summer of 1976, John had murdered 5 boys and young men that we know of, because honestly, there could be more victims that we don't know about.
I bet there are.
I'm sure there are, yeah. John did eventually confess to some of the murders, but I'm going to venture to say that there was more. And I'm also, and I'll talk about this in the last episode, but I'm also going to venture to say that, and this may be an unpopular opinion, this is one of my hot takes about serial killers. I don't think John Wayne Gacy worked alone. And the reason that I say that is this was a lot. Okay? This was a lot of victims. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of work. Remember, he had people help. He had people burying or digging up
the holes and
yes.
stuff.
And one of his victims who ended up surviving said that he is absolutely certain that there was another man in the room when he was being tortured. But he was drugged at the time.
Yeah.
But he's certain that there was another man in the room.
I wonder if he started out by himself and then found someone just as sick and twisted as him.
That's very possible. Or I wonder if this was a bigger, like, organizational ring than what we know about, because he had political ties.
You're right.
Just throwing that out there.
Oh, shit.
He also was big into, like, the stag film type thing and, like, trading that and...
Release the Gacy files.
No, but seriously. Like,
that's crazy.
I've just always had this sneaking suspicion that John Wayne Gacy did not work alone.
It makes
I don't think
sense.
he did.
Everything you're saying makes sense.
Yeah, but I could be wrong. What do I know? I'm just some bitch.
Some bitch.
This is just a hunch that I have. But the fact that one of his surviving victims says that he is certain that another man was in the room with John Wayne Gacy. Come on.
Yeah. Even if you're drugged, I feel like you.
Yeah.
If you remember one voice, you remember two.
Yeah. I don't know. Apologize for jumping ahead a bit, but
never apologize. Be you.
But yeah, like I said, he did eventually confess to some of the murders. But John Wayne Gacy, he did end up running out of room under the crawl space and then had to start finding different areas to dump his victims. But we'll get into that a little later. Of the boys/young men murdered by John Wayne Gacy during the summer of 1976 were Michael Bonin, William Carroll, Jimmy Hackinson, who was only 16 years old at the time. That's really young. Rick Johnston, and an unidentified male around the age of 25 years old. And to this day, we still have no idea who this person was, which is really fucking sad.
How many was that?
So in a 12-week time span, he had killed 5 people. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Like, I know that it may not sound like that much, but like that's the span of a summer. That's a span of a summer. That's 5 people.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah.
Think about this, and I'm sure you probably already have thought about this, but if he did in fact have another person or an entire organization, I mean, it's there could be people in other states. That's a lot.
Funny that you say that, because that is a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about next.
Stop.
Uh-huh.
I'm back, baby.
Yeah, I know, right?
Back to segue. And we used to be really good at like just bullshitting in the beginning and segueing in.
Well, we kind of did that earlier when we were talking about David Bowie's bulge and the dick. And then we were like, speaking of dicks, you know, I think we're good with segues. I think we still got it.
We're back.
But an interesting fact about John Wayne Gacy that many people don't know, that you picked up on just now, is that John didn't just commit these assaults and murders in his hometown. He also did it while traveling. So now we're going to hear from a man named Tony, who is a survivor of John Wayne Gacy, and I'll link the full interview in our show notes. But it's a 40-minute interview, so it's very, very long, but it is worth a listen. But I wanted to play a clip from this interview because I feel like it's important to give the victims a voice as well. Like,
100%.
you know, we talk so much about the serial killer, but I don't want this all to be about the absolute fucking demon that John Wayne Gacy is. Like, I want to give the victims a voice and a name.
I love that.
So here is a firsthand account from one of John Wayne Gacy's victims.
It was a typical hot August night. I was at the state park, and I I'd been playing with some of the tourist kids. I'd ridden my bike across the golf course over to the park property. I was sitting in the lobby. He walks up to me and he said, "Are you a local?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "What's there to do around here?" And he's dressed in a leisure suit, a black and brown leisure suit. I was in orange swim trunks.
Now, I'm going to pause it for a moment because he was in a fucking leisure suit.
That makes me want to punch him even more.
I know. And I immediately thought of Cousin Eddie in Christmas Vacation, where she's like, "Oh, he was in a blue leisure suit and he was beastly bulging, man."
Did he have a gold chain on, though? I bet he did.
I don't even want to know. Ugh.
Pinky rings.
Towel around my neck. I said, "Do you like fishing? You like boating? It's a resort. It's outdoor paradise, hunting." He said, "No." And then I started to get up. He said, "What's there to do around here?" And I said, "Are you into hiking or sailing or camping?" And he said, "No." And then I started asking him questions. I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "I'm from Chicago. I'm visiting some people down here." And I said, "Where?" He said, "Jonathan Creek." Well, I knew that was about 4 hours by water, 4 hours by land. So I started to get up again, and he asked me the question again. So I went ahead and stood up, and I was starting to get annoyed. And I said, "Are you looking for liquor, or are you looking for women?" I said, "This is kind of a family-style resort." And as I started to walk off, he said, "Hey, would you like to have a beer with me?" And I said, "Sure." So we walked down to his room.
Now remember, he's 15.
On the left.
Right.
I knew most of the workers at the state park, but there was a new desk clerk named Ella working that night. And we had seen each other. I had the keys to some of the rooms where I could get a fresh towel if I needed it. Since my mother worked there, I was a fixture really on the property. So we go down to his room. He opens the door. I walk in. I take a couple steps. He walks in behind me, and he takes his hand and he grazes my behind, my butt. And I thought, that was a little weird. I thought maybe that was a mistake. I looked to the right, which was a typical hotel room, and the bathtub was completely filled to the top with ice.
What?
And there was 2 chairs, 2 beds. The TV was in between the chairs. I took a seat at the first chair. And then he goes to a cooler and brings back a beer. It was a Wiedemann in a red, white, and black can. He hands me the beer, and then he goes over and shuts the curtains. And we were on the first floor, and my bike was parked just right outside the window, probably 30, 40 feet away. And he's closed the curtains. He walks past me. As he goes past me, he starts talking to me, just asking me questions and, what I did, what my parents did, and things like that. And he locks the door. He seemed to start getting agitated. So I was drinking my beer. On his next trip through, he asked me if I like sex books. And so he takes a suitcase out, sets it on the bed, opens it up. It's full of books. There's probably 50 or 60 magazines there. I reach over, start fanning through them, and I didn't see anything that I thought I would like. So he grabs a couple and just hands them to me. I sit back and I start thumbing through them. They're all boys. So at this time, when I'm going through the magazines, he's back in the restroom. I hear the faucet come on and off. Next time he comes out, he's got a towel wrapped around his neck. And at that time when he came out, he locks the deadbolt on the door. So now things start to slow motion kicks in on me. I think this is not right. Something's wrong. I'm in a bad situation here. He comes back through, and I said, "Hey, there's just boys in these books." And he says, "I got something else you might like." So he goes to the other side of the bed, puts another suitcase up on the bed, opens it up. It's full of shackles and handcuffs and chains.
I can't.
And inside my mind, I'm thinking, this is bad. I got to get out of here. So I take my beer. It was about half full. I set it down to my left heel. And I said, the next time he goes to the bathroom, I'm going to take this cooler and I'm either going to throw it through the window or I'm going to move it where I can get away. So he goes in the bathroom again, and his demeanor, his eyes start to get a little squinty. He was changing. He was looking at me when he was sneering at me when he would walk by. And I'm a pretty big kid for 15, but I knew I didn't have enough. This was a powerfully built man. And so as soon as he goes in the bathroom and the faucet comes on, I grab the cooler. I take it over into the far corner, right by the window. And when he comes back out, after he had mentioned the chains and the shackles and all that stuff, I said, do you have any snacks? And while he's looking at me, I kicked my beer over. And he acted kind of disoriented for a second. He said, no, I don't have any snacks. And I said, can I have another beer? So he looks where the cooler was. He didn't see the cooler. And he starts looking for the cooler. Well, he walks past me and around both beds, and I hit the door. And I'm unlocking the chain, I'm unlocking the deadbolt, and I open the door, and just as I step out, he grabs me. And he grabs at me. He hits me a couple of times, but I just kept backpedaling because I didn't have on a shirt for him to grab. I didn't have on any shoes. So I back on out of there, walk past the desk clerk, Ella, and I get on my bike. And I'm a little shaken, but I didn't know who he was. I just figured it was some weird guy.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
That's, ugh.
I wanted to play that because, like, I feel like we talk about the serial killer, but it's very powerful to hear it from a victim's mouth.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Can you, I always say, can you imagine? I don't want any of you to imagine, but it played in my head, so now I have to say it. The young men that didn't make it, experiencing that.
And worse. Yep.
I can't.
But yeah, I'm going to link that in our show notes. You can watch the whole interview if you want. It's 40 minutes. But I do feel that it was very brave of him to come forward and give that story.
100%, but also how smart is he?
Very smart.
And
very.
He's lucky that his beer didn't have anything in it.
I know, because if it was Jeffrey Dahmer, it fucking would have had.
Well, yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. He's that man is very, very lucky. And I was going through the comments on that video on YouTube, and one of the comments was from someone, and it said, "That's my father. We're so proud of him."
I mean, I would be proud too. The fact that he had the strength to tell his story and to let other people hear. You know, there's probably other survivors out there that don't, they're too embarrassed or they're too scared.
Well, speaking of other survivors.
Did I just...
Yeah, you segued again. I have a clip from yet another Gacy survivor, and in this clip you'll hear him talk about how he was also able to get away.
Okay.
No, I was 16 years old and John was about 33 or 34 at the time, and he put the cuff on the other wrist, but I was fighting and struggling in such a way that he did not get it on very securely. He went into the other room and I pulled as hard as I could, scraped all the skin off my knuckles, but I pulled my hand out of the cuff. He walked back into the room, and the thing that was probably the lifesaver is I kept my hand behind my back so it appeared like I was still cuffed. He walked to my side, and pretty much I just grabbed both of his legs and did a good double leg takedown on him, wrestling move, and he went down to the floor, and I cuffed him. I think that shocked the hell out of him. And he says, "You're the only one that not only got out of the handcuffs, you got them on me."
Damn.
Isn't that crazy?
That is...
He said, "You're the only one."
The only one.
So immediately, that poor kid was probably like, fuck, how many people has he done this to before me? And weren't able to get away like I was.
What an arrogant asshole, though. If
he's awful.
If I were to be doing something like that and got caught, I think I would be deterred from doing it again. You know what I mean?
And probably wouldn't you be like, I don't know, I'd never do anything like this, but if I did, hypothetically.
Right.
I feel like I'd be like, oh fuck, I better try to like cover this up and be like, I was just playing. Like, But this motherfucker was like, just
you're
cocky
the only one that
as
got
shit.
Away.
Yeah.
What an asshole.
And it didn't scare him in the least. Didn't scare him. Didn't faze him. Nothing.
I hate it.
I know. He's one of the worst. I fucking hate John Wayne Gacy.
He sucks.
So as you heard in that clip, wrestling was one of the tactics that John Wayne Gacy would use on his victims. He also used magic tricks, and he would tell his victims that he wanted to show them a magic trick involving handcuffs, and he was then able to restrain them that way. He sometimes used alcohol and drugs, including chloroform, to subdue his victims. He would then torture them, violently rape them, and murder them. And one of his favorite methods was called the rope trick, in which he created a makeshift tourniquet with a rope, and then he would place it around his victims' necks and gradually tighten it until his victims were sufficiently strangled to death.
I hate it.
Yeah. Yet another Gacy survivor, Jack Merrill, who is actually a Hollywood actor. He's been in a couple of movies and TV shows. He spoke to People magazine in 2024 and detailed his account of his run-in with John Wayne Gacy, saying that he had accepted a ride from Gacy. He gets into the car and Gacy gets out a bottle and he pours some liquid from the bottle onto a rag, and then he shoves the rag in Jack's face and holds it there. So I'm assuming this was probably chloroform. Mm-hmm. He then wakes up at John Wayne Gacy's house in handcuffs. John had put a quote-unquote homemade contraption around Jack's neck that would cause him to suffocate if he tried to struggle or fight back. He then stuck a gun in Jack's mouth and violently raped him for hours. Hours he was raped at gunpoint.
And this was that actor?
Yes. Then, for whatever reason, Gacy decided to let Jack go, and he drove him to the area where he had picked him up, and that was that. It wasn't until a couple of months later, after John had been arrested, that Jack realized that the home that he had seen on TV was the home that he had been attacked in.
Oh, man. And he never told anyone until then?
I think he was scared because John would threaten his victims and say, like, listen, I'm involved in politics. I'm involved in the JCs. I know people. I'm friends with police.
No one will believe you.
No one will believe you. I'm sure he probably, a lot of times he would like take their IDs and stuff. So they were scared. And honestly, John was right. They didn't believe them.
Yeah, because John was so involved, and John could just say, oh, they're making that up because they want me to pay them money.
Yes, he had a way of talking his way out of literally everything. I mean, look, the only thing he couldn't talk his way out of was when he went to prison for that 10 months? Mm-hmm. That was the only time he couldn't talk his way out of anything. Everything else he talked his way out of. And we'll get into even more times where victims came forward to police and they weren't believed. And John got away with it again.
Gross.
But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Another weird random tie-in to Hollywood that I would like to add in. And I found this so interesting that I actually did a TikTok about it on my personal account, like I think 2 years ago when the documentary came out. But I don't know if you heard of it, but it's the documentary about Nickelodeon on HBO Max. I believe it's called Quiet on Set.
Yes, and I saw that. That like blew up when it first came out.
It did, yeah. I'll link that in the show notes too. But the man known as Pickle Boy on All That, remember Pickle Boy?
Yeah.
Who was a grown-ass man. I don't know why they called him boy. Mm-hmm. He was entrusted to be around literal children on set. He was friends with John Wayne Gacy.
I bet he was one of his helpers.
And he would show people his drawer full of letters written to him by John Wayne Gacy while he was in prison. And he actually had photos of him as well.
He was proud of that?
Yes. He showed people that.
What a fucking asshole.
So one of those creepy ass pedophile producers for Nickelodeon was friends with John Wayne Gacy. Bet you didn't think there would ever be a connection between John Wayne Gacy and Nickelodeon, did you?
No.
But there it is.
Gross.
Little fun fact for you.
I'm making a thumbnail of for this episode.
Yeah. But that also got me thinking, this has to be bigger than just John Wayne Gacy, right?
1000% Nickelodeon. That's huge. And back then it was like huge.
And I'm not saying, like, this is before the time where Nickelodeon blew up. John Wayne Gacy, when he was murdering people, it was before the time of like 90s Nickelodeon. But the fact that there's people that worked with children on Nickelodeon that were friends with a fucking serial killer who killed little boys, I'm going to question that a little bit. And I don't know if this pickle boy dude, I don't even want to say his real name because he's a piece of shit, but I don't know if he reached out to John Wayne Gacy like while he was in prison and exchanged letters and stuff. But why, if you're working with children, would you reach out and become friends with a serial killer who killed children?
Well, first of all,
what the fuck?
He had pictures with them, right?
It didn't say pictures with him. They just said there was an interview, and I'll link it so you guys can watch it if you want. But this guy said that he would have parties at his house, and in a drawer, he would take people into his bedroom and show them this drawer that was full of letters and photos from John Wayne Gacy. No. I don't know what these photos were. The guy didn't say.
I don't know. My mind is blown with that.
That fact was like mind-blowing.
Well, you just blew my mind.
We were able to get some insight into what would actually go down during the murders from Gacy himself when he confessed in interviews when he was later apprehended. And Gacy himself stated that a typical murder session would go as follows. He would first lure a boy back to his home with the promise of drugs, alcohol, stag films, etc. He would then subdue them by sitting on their chest and forcing them to perform oral sex on him.
Gross.
He would put reins on them and make them act like a horse while he sat on their backs and rode them around.
That's probably how he killed them. His fat ass probably broke at their back.
He would burn them with cigars. He would rape them with dildos, bottles, and other household items. He would repeatedly drown them in his bathtub, revive them, and then drown them again and keep repeating that, like as a form of torture.
Nope.
He would humiliate and laugh at his victims when they screamed in pain. He would then kill them with the rope trick that we talked about, but not before watching them convulse for hours. Because that's, I don't know if you remember, we talked about that. I don't know if it was it might have been episode 2. That's how he really got off, was like the gurgling and the convulsing and watching people actually physically die. That's what really caused the sexual release for him.
I can't.
To say that he tortured these boys is a massive understatement.
Yeah, that's way more than just torture.
I didn't know that he put reins on these boys and rode them around like a horse. What the fuck?
I don't know. And he was a big dude.
He was massive. After he killed his victim, he would then be incredibly exhausted, and he would shove the body under his bed and then go to sleep in the bed with the body under it. He usually would leave the bodies under the bed for a couple of days and then would perform a makeshift embalming job on them before burying them in his crawl space. After burying them, he would recite Psalms 23, which is the famous passage that you hear at every funeral, which is, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, blah, 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 you know which one I'm talking about. Then he would pour lime over the bodies to help cover up the smell and also aid in decomp. By the end of summer/early autumn, John had murdered a total of 12 young men and boys.
Damn.
So we're up to 12 people.
That we know of.
In October of 1976, John killed 2 best friends who had been planning to go out to the arcade, 14-year-old Michael Marino and 16-year-old Kenneth Parker, and he killed them on the same night. It's a lot to kill 2 boys on the same night, and he did that twice that we know of.
Did he, or did he have
That's what
help?
I'm saying. Like, I feel like it was more than what we know, you guys. I don't know.
It's a lot.
Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. But I don't think this is a hot take, but I don't think John Wayne Gacy worked alone. I really don't. I think sometimes he did, but I think it was part of a much bigger ring than what we know of. And I'll talk about this in the last episode as well. John Wayne Gacy himself in prison even said that this was bigger than what people know.
And no one questioned him on that?
Well, I mean, he lied so much. People were probably just like, Either that or some of the people that were involved, no one would care anyway because could have been political.
Fair.
We don't know.
Damn it.
So 2 days later, after he killed those 2 friends that he met at the arcade, on October 26, 1976, John took the life of 19-year-old William Bundy. No relation to Ted, but I thought that was interesting. Shortly after that, Gacy took the lives of 17-year-old Gregory Godzik and 21-year-old Francis Wayne Alexander. And Gregory Godzik, this is really sad. He was actually hired by John for his contracting business, and he was hired to dig a trench under the crawl space. He was ultimately buried in that same trench that he dug. So he literally dug his own grave. So that brings us up to January of 1977. And John was like, New Year, same me. Because just after the New Year, John murdered 19-year-old John Zick. 1977 was business as usual for John. And throughout the year, he took the lives of 20-year-old John Prestige, 19-year-old Matthew Bowman, 18-year-old Robert Gilroy, 19-year-old John Mowry, 22-year-old Russell Nelson, 16-year-old Robert Winch, 21-year-old Tommy Bowling, and 19-year-old David Talsma.
So just a couple.
Yeah. John did seem to slow down a little in 1978 for whatever reason, but by December, he had already claimed the lives of 19-year-old William Kindred, 20-year-old Timothy O'Rourke, 19-year-old Frank Landigan, and 20-year-old James Mazzara. And I just want to pause for a moment because I know that I just sped through a bunch of names, but these are more than just names. These were real people who had real lives and family members and friends who loved them, who missed them, who were brushed off by police, who were labeled as drug addicts and runaways and juvenile delinquents. These were real people who lost their lives in an absolutely fucking horrific way at the hands of an absolute cretin. So I don't want it to seem insensitive that I'm not getting into the murders of... I would love to get into the lives and backstories of every single one of these boys because they all deserve it. They really, really do.
It would take so long.
Yeah. But it's not lost on me. I don't want it to seem like I'm being insensitive.
I don't think anybody thought that.
It's a lot of people. They all fucking mattered. They all mattered. Never forget that these were real people who had real hopes and dreams and futures ahead of them that were all snuffed out by this absolute shit stain on the underwear of humanity that was John Wayne Gacy. And this isn't even getting into all of the many victims of John Wayne Gacy that got away and survived, aside from the few that we discussed a little bit ago. There were several boys and young men who were sexually assaulted, raped, tortured, and then let go by John. There were even ones that fought back. One of the teenagers that he assaulted actually afterwards drove to his house while he was still married to his second wife, Carol, and beat the shit out of John in front of his own house and wife.
Good.
And I guess Carol was like, what the fuck was that about? And John was like, oh, like, he's mad because I owe him money.
Nope.
John had even been reported to the authorities by a teenager whom he had kidnapped and raped. Investigators went out to interview John. John told them it was quote unquote consensual sex, and the police were like, seems legit. And they left and did nothing.
No.
These boys were fucking failed.
Big time.
They were failed.
Probably
and there's
because
no fucking excuse. There's no excuse.
politics
Well,
sucks.
and also we're talking about the 70s, and anytime anything was brought up about gay men, it was like, we're not touching that. I mean, you know, I talked about Jeffrey Dahmer before, but you'll see when I cover him eventually.
They didn't want to catch it.
They didn't give a fuck.
I know.
Gay men were less than to them. They were. I mean, even in the Dahmer case, like, there was a young boy who was clearly like assaulted by Jeffrey Dahmer, and they released him back to him.
I know.
Here you go. Here he is on a silver platter. And then he goes back up in the room and is killed by Jeffrey Dahmer. And then you hear the dispatch call where the police officers are laughing and making fun of the two gay men that had a lover's quarrel. And I think one of them was like, oh, we're back to the station to be deloused. Yeah, it's real fucking funny. Real funny. Because these aren't human beings or anything.
No.
They're just gay men. So they don't fucking matter.
No.
Right?
Wrong.
I'm going to take a breath because this shit fires me up.
I get it.
Even back then, how did people not give a fuck about human beings? How did people not fucking... I can't even talk. Why am I even asking? Because you have nowadays people don't even fucking care about human beings.
Mm-mm.
So...
I mean, sometimes shit just doesn't change.
Yeah. It's really fucking sad, and it's like, it makes me want to fucking cry. Ugh, God. All right, anyway. I'm almost done, guys. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I've been having a hard time with these episodes because they fire me up. They really do. I don't understand how people can't fucking care about other human beings. I will never understand that. I'll never understand that.
Some people are just born evil, I think. Some people are...
And just lacking empathy and just like not...
Yeah. There are some people who just have a shitty upbringing and a shitty life and decided nothing's worth it. Nobody else is worth it. And then there's people that have the God complex, like we said earlier. They think they're better.
Yeah. It's just really...
Stupid.
It's fucking heartbreaking is what it is. By December of 1977, John Wayne Gacy had murdered 32 boys and young men. 32. So over the span of 5 years, 32.
That's crazy.
It's like an entire classroom of people. Right?
Holy shit. Yes. Damn.
It's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
And up until December of 1977, John had successfully evaded being caught for his murders. But on December 11, my birthday, although the year is off, obviously, but on December 11, 1977, John made the fatal mistake of being too confident and cocky in himself and also his ability to get away with murder when he very brazenly walked into the Nissan pharmacy and spotted 15-year-old Robert Peast, who worked there as a stock boy. And Robert would end up not only being John's final victim, but he was also the final nail in the coffin for John Wayne Gacy, thus bringing an end to John's 5-year reign of terror. And that's where we're going to leave off for episode 3. Yeah.
I want more.
Oh, I'll give you more.
Gross.
Episode 4, we are going to discuss the murder of Robert Peast, which fucking blew this shit out of the water. We're going to talk about the investigation of John Wayne Gacy, the discovery of all the fucking shit in his house, which was awful, the trial, and also the aftermath. So, one more to go, you guys. I'm fucking sorry. Trust me, I am tired of this ass clown as well. Believe you me, Hunty. I'm tired.
She's over it.
I'm tired.
Listen, I'm working on an episode. However, I might do a completely different one on like something conspiracy and fun because I think we're all going to need it. Or paranormal, something not murderous.
I keep thinking like I want to work on an alien episode because I still have, I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast before. I think I did. But I ordered those little perfumes that smell like the moon and outer space.
Yes.
And I want to do like an alien episode and I want to bring down those perfumes for you to smell.
I know. We talked about that or doing like a space.
Yeah.
A space themed one. And I just, every time I sit down and start one that's like space themed, I can't get into it.
I can't either. I've been trying to do the alien ones and I can't get into it.
I'm all about aliens. I'm happy to write an alien one. You know that.
I was thinking about doing that one that inspired the, you know, the whole Fire in the Sky movie and all that. Isn't that what it was called? Fire in the Sky?
I think so.
Where the man was allegedly abducted. But it's like, it's so convoluted because there's so, like, a lot of people think that it's a hoax. So it's like, what do you, how do you even go about that? I don't fucking know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll work on an alien one. What do you guys think?
Well, now that we've put it out into the universe,
we gotta do an alien one. All right, I'll work on it. But
get through John Wayne Gacy, and then
I'm fucking trying.
Take like 7 weeks off. I got this. I'll have at least one done.
I can't afford to take off, baby. I gotta keep this shit rolling.
No. I meant from
it's like
writing.
A fat John Wayne Gacy snowball rolling down the fucking mountain. I gotta keep it rolling.
Rolling.
You know what I'm saying?
Rolling.
And now that we brought it back full circle, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah. See you next.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, you say that.
No, apparently I shouldn't say it. You should say it.
You say it.
You say it.
Let's say it together. 1, 2, 3.
See you next Tuesday, but don't be one. Bye.
I hated that.
I loved it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.